Okay, guys. After the song we just played, it was already uploaded on YouTube. So, right now we're gonna do the Bible story time. Alright. So, today's lesson is gonna be about why King Esther and the disciples went to meet him. Went to meet Jesus. So we're gonna go to Esther. Okay, and we can't find it. Jeremiah. Alright, let me find the book. Okay, it's got to be on every page. So, okay, Esther. Let me check the scripture again. So, I will not remember. Oh, in case Esther. Okay. Okay, it's on Nehemiah. So let me go to that. Genesis, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, it's on. Hold on. Yeah, I'm on the right page. Okay, so. Okay, here's Esther. Today we're gonna go to Esther, the book of Esther, verse 2 verses 6, which says, "Who had been carried away from Jerusalem among the captives, carried away with Jeconiah king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had carried away." So if you notice the scripture that was saying about Esther, right? She has to be chosen to be the queen. But then the Nebuchadnezzar has to be the authorized king. But why is that? So we're gonna tell you about the scripture, noticing how about his loyalty to other people, right? But if you don't treat them right, then it can lead to significant impact. Then just that can lead into their own problems. Now, verses 8 says, "So when the king's order and his edict were proclaimed, and when many young women were gathered in Susa, the citadel in custody of Haggai, Esther also was taken into the king's palace and was put in custody of Haggai, who had charge of the womb." Now, this is not good. So the Haggai, who has charge of the woman, Esther was taken into the palace and also was put in custody. Does that really think about her experience? Or was that really false? Well, if you think about it, her life wasn't supposed to change that way. They were supposed to act normally, just like Jehovah does, right? But if they act strangely, then nothing would compare to it after all. It seems like a false information. But nonetheless, they might have to change the subject onto what is right for the king to gather all of the disciples and try to greet them in a proper way. But later on, they start to change afterwards. So, noticing what was happening to her after she was put in custody, she decided to, well, go to King Ahasuerus. Like, after being 12 months under the regulations for the woman, since this was the regular period of the beautifying 6 months with oil, a mirror, and 6 months with spices and ointments for women. When the young woman went into the king in this way, she was given whatever she desired to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. See, if you notice something like about the place that they go into, it's like some sort of like a palace where they normally go. But if Jehovah recognized that King Nebuchadnezzar was found out that the palace was totally real, and it's noticing that the building was kind of off guard a bit, but it doesn't really look the same compared to what in Egypt does. Now we're gonna go to Psalm 73 verse 4. For they have no pangs until death. Their bodies are fat and sleek. Now, this seems like a mythical body, their body slang. But they notice that the recognitions of their whole body check, they recognize that sleek can be mentioned as a Greek word. But why is that? Well, if you look at verse 9, it says, they set their mouths against the heavens, and their tongue struts through the earth. Now, here's a question. If something was wrong into that palace, or if God was your strengthman, right? Then he has to be his bodyguard in order to protect his life. But if we don't protect his life right away, nothing will happen. Now, they want to restore God. But why? If we find out that something is terrible, they need to persuade them. So, we're talking about Jehovah here. So, if we want to know his name in a different language, then we know that we can find it in the scripture. Just like Psalm 83 verse 18. Because if we found out that if you look in the verse of what the paragraph is saying, then you might know that Jehovah was in the scripture. Does that even make any sense? Well, if you think about it, God is the only one that can make a powerful life. If we want to go to a paradise, then we must take a left turn. But if you go to the wrong way and start heading to the death, then that's considered unlucky to go there. Because if they start going to the wrong opposite direction, then they cannot find where to go. Because if you look at the website and you just found out that the map was kind of a little bit different, but it doesn't mean that you cannot go into the wrong direction. You always have to follow where the arrow is pointing to. Just like a sign, you know? We always have to show up to their careers in a different path or their different order. So, so that's what they want to know. So, you remember in the picture of why Jesus died on the cross? Well, because of all the things he did for us. If Jesus doesn't want to be crucified, then he might be able to protect the disciples and us from doing the bad things. It's like consider as a good example, right? But we all know that we can face any challenges.